Hey, it's Homebuyer Radio. This is episode number 95. It is Dan, the mortgage man, with you. 95 episodes, right? I feel like, I'm always amazed that I've been able to come up with that much content to talk about in regards to mortgages. But it never seems to fail, right? I've done this for, 27 years. I started in 1991. It's hard to believe I'm actually that old, but I've been doing this for a really long time. And, it's interesting to me, people still keep making the same mistakes, right? They keep having the same things that impact them when it comes to the mortgage process. And there's just a ton of misinformation out there, right? Most of the information you're going to find on the internet, it's stuff that's aimed to try to sell you, okay? It's trying to get you to, fill out a form, give us your name, give us your email address, give us some way to be able to solicit you for a mortgage, okay? I decided to take a different approach with this podcast. What I wanted to do is I wanted to put together content that hopefully helped to educate you about the home buying process, and in the process of consuming the content and hopefully walking away with just information that is beneficial to you. My desire is that when you get to the point where you're ready to buy a house and you need a mortgage, that you would reach back out to us as part of that process. So we're kind of giving away a lot of information for free, right? We're not giving you a hard sale or pushing you hard to come do a mortgage with us. Obviously that's the end game here, right? That's the intent, is to be able to give you enough information so that when you're ready to make that decision to move forward, that you do it with us. So just know that there's that's kind of the spirit behind what we do here at Homebuyer Radio. I've been doing this since 1991. I have a heart to educate people as part of this process because I've seen the same mistakes over and over again. I get the same questions over and over again. And there's just so much misinformation out there. It just really frustrates me that rather than to just be truthful and really educate clients about the process, our industry has done a really good job of everything but that, right? And it's rather unfortunate. But hey, this week what I want to talk about is if you've been tracking mortgage interest rates, over the course of probably the last several months in particular, you've really started to see a strong move up in interest rates from where they were, even going back, a few months back, right? And a lot of times people, are disappointed to see interest rates have gone up. They're disappointed to see that a higher interest rate, drives their monthly payment up and so on. I just want to tell you that, a move up in interest rates is not the end of the world, okay? As we, I'm recording this podcast, the typical, 30-year fixed rate mortgage, is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, 5%, maybe just even a hair over 5%, right now. Now, a lot of people, hear the number 5 and they're like, oh my gosh, 5% is ridiculous. It's so high. It's such a high interest rate. In all honesty, if you go back, just prior to the housing bubble, if you will, if I would have wrote a 30-year fixed rate at 5%, I would have wrote every mortgage out there. I would have had people lined up, down and around the corner to be able to get a mortgage at 5%. So it's all a matter of perspective, okay? In the big picture of things, a 5% 30-year mortgage is actually a really cheap interest rate when you look at things historically. So don't get it twisted, okay? Don't freak out. Anytime the cost of money goes up, people start to panic. In all honesty, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't panic, because I do think that in a lot of housing markets, we're starting to see the market get a little closer to normal. Okay, we had this really red hot housing market, and in a lot of parts of the country, there's these huge bidding wars, and there'd be 20 offers for one property, and the prices of homes are going up really high, and the market was almost too hot in different parts of the country, right? Well, with interest rates going up a little bit, that certainly helps to maybe slow some of that crazy stuff and help us get closer to maybe a little more normal market, if you will. Okay, so I just kind of a little bit of a hodgepodge of things I wanted to talk about this week. Interest rates being one of them. The market probably getting a little bit closer to normal in many markets throughout the country. We're going into the holiday season. The holiday season tends to be a time where people want to enjoy family. They don't necessarily want to worry about packing up their house and moving, or moving moving into a new house and stuff like that. Now, with that being said, there are still transactions that get done during the holiday season. It could be a good window of opportunity because you have a lot of, if you will, people who decide to sit on the sidelines during the holiday season. So if you're a buyer, that might be a good opportunity to be able to look at, hey, maybe I can make something happen now when people are sitting on the sidelines. So, hey, my name again is Dan Moralez. My NMLS number is 709729. I work for Northpointe Bank. You can find me at 616-931-4629 or online at danmoralez.com. That's DANMORALEZ.com. But do me a favor, if you enjoy this podcast, do me a favor and share it, okay? Share it with your friends and family and other people who you know that could benefit from the information. And, do me a favor and please write us a review on iTunes. Let people know that you enjoy the podcast and that, it has some value to you. Again, this week, just kind of a hodgepodge of stuff. Next week, I want to talk about buyer fatigue, right? And we're not talking about working out. We're talking about buyer fatigue. And it's going to be a little more interesting podcast because there's a lot of you that are out there looking for homes and you're tired, right? You're tired of losing countless offers. You're tired of just the process and it seems like nothing comes together. Let's talk about that next week here at Homebuyer Radio. Hey, thanks for listening. And remember, Northpointe Bank is an equal housing lender.